Hello everybody, it's Friday night and it is time for your Weekender once more. We've another show brimming full of goodness from all across the hobby in the last 7 days. We also have a monumental prize from store.ontabletop.com. If you want to be a old world commander, then we have an undead bundle for you containing a Tomb King on Necrolith, Skeleton Chariots, Skellybob Warriors and Skellybob Horse. To win that massive prize, pop a comment below the video on YouTube, be a subscriber to the channel, and cross your fingers. Otherwise, sit back and relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined this week by Ben, Brother Lloyd, Tiny John. I'm not pointing to any of them on screen because they're all over the place, but I'm sure they will make all of that work.
Tiny John.
Everybody's tiny.
I can be tinier.
So small, so far away.
Aren't we missing the obvious and just calling him Little John?
Don't get you.
No, I can't get the seat back up.
Oh, dear.
There we go.
Shocking stuff. We're here to bring you a week's worth of hobby updates because there's all sorts of stuff all of the time comes screaming out of the traps every time we turn around. Companies are just going, look at our stuff. We've got so much to tell you. We go, please stop.
They do tend
Talk
to
about us. Talk about us.
We have so little time and too many people. It'd be easier if there was just like one massive company that did everything in the industry. Unfortunately, there's not, and there never will be.
That's why we have an email address called talkaboutus@ontabletop.com.
Do we?
Well, they can try emailing that and get no reply.
Oh, that would have been... it may still be amazing. Somebody's going to be off there desperately trying to get that email right. We obviously have a jam-packed show, as always, for you. There was a lot of news last week. We briefly mentioned it, vis-a-vis Infinity's big Adepticon pre-orders, I suppose they are. If you missed out on that, you can go over to the OnTabletop Infinity Hub and see all the stuff that Corvus Belli are doing for Torchlight.
Didn't they release lots of nice pictures?
Oh, they released tons of stuff.
Of the actual miniatures? Oh.
Literally, all of this, every one of these is brimming full from concept to painted stuff, painted by some talented so-and-so. Wonder who it was. We'll never know.
They've done, as they tend to do with these weeks of videos, they've done sort of looks at concept designs and building the miniatures up and getting them sculpted through to painting them. Loads of background and stats and all the kind of thing that you'd want for sort of why you need to use these troops on the tabletop. Obviously, because they're epic and cool.
I love all the blue and gold they're using to try and confuse 40k players into thinking this is something they want.
Ultramarines.
If you like these, you'll like these.
We have Ultramarines at home.
Same color.
Yeah.
I think you mean we have Torchlight at home.
We have Torchlight at home. That's that's the best around to do it. But yeah, Carlos has been in his element as always, and has been putting together a week of videos full of information to get you excited about Torchlight Brigade, the new action pack, Team Gladius, which is the add-on.
Look at Carlos. Wow, you can tell he has kids now.
It's all the grey in the hair.
And also the special mercenary you can get as a limited edition miniature as well. So lots and lots of fun stuff for you to pick up for Infinity ahead of Adepticon.
Yeah, who knew the police in Wales were just so massively overpowered? That's a really niche joke, isn't it?
No, it's a very niche joke.
So niche that I didn't realize it happened.
It's good. That's how most of my jokes go. They're really for me. I don't care what other people get up to. This show is all for me. And I will continue to be for quite some time to come. I have to say that right off the bat. Because, this is my world. You're merely NPCs in it. Speaking of.
That's how it works. Yeah.
As always, it is the most important part of the week. And it's time for the Indie of the Week. And this week it's a bit weird, bit random, because we've had World Book Day.
Random.
And I was thinking, what can we do for World Book Day? Because books are the most important thing. Not PDFs, they don't count, but books. Lovely papery things. So I started having a wee nosy around and came across a couple of bits and pieces that I want to draw people's attention to. And the first is from a little indie company who've released their very first Dungeons and Dragons adventure. This comes from NASA. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Yes, the people who fire rockets into space, NASA, have released a D&D adventure.
Oh my God, I didn't. What?
This is a real D&D adventure. It's not pissed. It's not like the Wendy's the Wendy's RPG thing. It is all about the city of Aldastron on Ixlaris.
Aren't they missing a trick here? Why don't they talk about the secret alien moon base?
Because they don't want you to know about that. This is to distract people from that. So you are playing little adventurers who are actually NASA scientists.
There's no trees on the moon?
In an alternate Earth reality.
Oh.
I'm not going to go too much into it because it will spoil it for players.
Is this like when the shuttle comes back and the whole ground crew have agreed to just dress up as apes? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, that type of thing. You and your friends, you all start off as NASA scientists somewhere in one of the NASA buildings, and then you wake up in this world.
Cool.
And
someone at NASA works at NASA, but they really just wanted to work on Star Trek, didn't they?
that type of thing. But it does a couple of interesting things. One, anytime, I just love the fact that NASA logo's up there.
Yeah.
Anytime you're trying to introduce players to a new world that they don't really know much about, there's an awful lot of, I'm a 45-year-old barbarian. I've been plying my trade as a mercenary around this world for, decades. And then you're going, would there be cats in this world? You go, well, obviously you would know if there are cats. That whole, the disconnect between what you know as a player and what your character should know is always massive. This one's really easy because you wake up knowing you're from Earth and you've all landed here and you're now inhabiting a different world and possibly a different body. So you're learning about the world as you play.
Very cool.
So it introduces that quite nicely.
What about the creatures? Are they specifying what sort of creatures are in this world?
They specify bits and pieces, yeah. It's for 4 to 7 people playing levels 7 to 10. Yeah. Won't go into all of it.
So have you gone on a space mission and come back to an alternative world?
No. You're on campus.
Right.
You all collapse, black out, and when you wake up, you're there. And it's not a punchy fighty adventure. It's an adventure where it's problem solving, puzzle solving, but also at the same time educational a little bit. There's a lot of stuff about space exploration and about the Hubble telescope and how they interact with various things. You say if I'd scroll far enough through, well, if I scroll far through, people could just start reading all the adventure. There's pictures from Hubble and stuff.
I need to know something.
Yes,
I want to know. I need to know how many Easter eggs they've put in to it, because the player count to me sounds like the minimum and maximum amount of people they can put on the ISS.
I'm not saying anything at all.
Probably
about.
This seems like the perfect thing to do when you are in space.
I'm still confused.
Yeah,
are there creatures then, or is it just humans?
There might be creatures. It's entirely up to you.
It's for you to find out.
If I was writing this, you'd have all fallen asleep and working up in a world dominated by Elmos. A bit like Rimmerworld, but with Elmos, and you had to destroy all the Elmos to take the world back and really trigger Will Wheaton in the process. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's 100%. I will say a lot of the NPCs you bump into are standard Dungeons and Dragons NPCs. So humans, orcs, half-orcs, dragonkind, all of that. So you're a human waking up in a fan. You're like the kids from Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, the cartoon.
You know,
And John's our dungeon master,
Yeah.
Tiny John.
yeah, and then occasionally you get things like this where they're just going, "Here's a picture of dark matter." That's a handout, by the way.
What? You can't have a picture of dark matter. That's the point.
Oh, you
It's
can.
dark.
Oh, it's great. No, it's
NASA
all
said
sparkly
you
and stuff.
can.
It even says up there, dark matter. That's
Well,
how you
it
know
should say dark matter, maybe.
So
What
these
we
are
think
all
is dark matter.
these are all the handouts that you're going to be giving people
Ooh.
during it. So yeah, I just thought that was really neat.
I'm confused. Why do you need pictures from the Hubble Space Telescope if it's all happening on Earth?
It's all
Are they
part
gonna
of the
turn-
mystery.
It's part of the mystery, and if I explain it, it ruins the mystery and nobody plays the adventure. So if you are, and this is probably ideal for people who have kids who are either interested in science or you want to get them interested in science, or teachers and stuff who have got a gaming club at school,
That'd be a cool idea.
as a little one shot, which is, like I said, it's not all about stat sticks and how many orcs can you punch in the face before your arms get tired. It's actually problem solving and exploration and a bit of science as well. So
Do they have like a elf version of Elon plotting the demise of NASA?
plotting the demise of the human race as a whole.
Elfron Mask.
Yes, he is there. And
He is now an NPC in my campaign. Just writing that down. So.
and
And he's trying to abduct us all to take us to Mars,
he has to be stopped all
whether we want to go or
costs.
not.
Keeps putting implants in things.
He's
little
trying
magical
to-
devices.
He's trying to make horseless carriages out of lemons
Yeah.
and copper. You know.
That's 100% him. Some sort of mad gnome.
That's it. Come and ride my spaghetti tube with me. Whee! Off we go.
Oh, his Dungeons and Dragons are just the Hyperloop. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
He's just got
I-
kobolds digging tunnels for days.
I also want to imagine that all the pictures they have of, like, you know, the universe and the sky and everything, it's actually not from the Hubble, it's from the JWST, you know, because it's the higher resolution images, as Lloyd would appreciate, you know.
Well,
Better
you
light
know,
shots there.
Better Lloyd shots.
that may actually be part and parcel of that adventure. I'm not saying anything. But
You see the problem here, Jerry, because you don't show us any of it, our imaginations are running wild.
and that is exactly the whole point of that. So you do you. So that's,
I mean, Lloyd's the one that wants the adventure to be fighting over Will Wheaton's paycheck. So
poor Will Wheaton.
No, I want to
Catch a
be
break.
I want to be crushing Elmos just to wind him up. Look, Wheaton, I'm crushing an Elmo.
So you have an affinity for Elmos?
Oh, he's freaked out on Twitter about some guy attacking Elmo.
All right. Just wondering if maybe he was part of Elmo's family.
I don't know, maybe.
Genetic throwback who wasn't, furry. That is Will Wheaton. That's his secret that he's kept hidden all these years.
very similar bone
Elmo's
structure.
cousin. Yeah. Right. So that's my starter for 10. Go out there, be all that you can be with
good
NASA.
so far. Yeah.
The next thing I want to talk about is
Oh,
Dark
there's more.
Age. Oh God, yeah. That's why that was just a little throwaway one. That just exists.
Oh,
Enjoy that.
NASA was just a throwaway one.
NASA was just a throwaway because that's how these things go. But I really want to talk about Dark Age stuff, and we all like Saga, for example. It's good, clean family fun. One of the blogs that I follow, Canister and Grape, has some interesting bits and pieces, and I mentioned this a month or so ago to Ben, and then presumably Ben has forgotten. But
I did.
there's a set of, if you've got
Hey, Ben, you should cover this. I forgot. I'll do it myself.
I think it was when we were having a chat one day and I'm going, by the way, this exists, because I know Ben loves the Mordheim.
I do like the Mordheims.
I know he likes his Anglo-Saxonness as well.
I do like that too.
So these are a set of warbands and scenarios designed to allow you to put out essentially a Dark Age Mordheim warband to fight your little fighty wars around the place.
So
you two
good.
can be a monastic warband desperately trying to repel borders at Lindisfarne. Let us know how that works out for you guys. What is how you say? You're all dead? Oh, shame.
Skills, nothing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't think we're going to win this, lads. Perhaps we change sides.
What, it's like Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah.
Convert to Islam. We can repent later. Just get out alive.
How
That sort of
Italian
thing.
of you.
Yeah. So they're all just very simple 2-page warband lists for your main sort of factions you can run into, your monks, your Anglo-Saxons, your Vikings, and your villagers. But then I was thinking, obviously this is great for the likes of us with copies of Mordheim. Some people out there don't have Mordheim. It's not been around in a very long time. Very long time. So if you're interested in playing out some of the scenarios like Raiders from Across the Sea or pillaging the monastery or whatever it happens to be, you'll need a copy of the rules.
It really should be called No More Time.
And that is where Broheim comes in.
I do like Broheim.
And this is probably the main sort of kit and caboodle of what you need to be looking at here today. Broheim is all the Mordheim that's fit to print, and some that was never printed, and some that should have been printed. It is literally a repository for everything Mordheim based. So,
Broheim.
I'll very quickly jump to warbands just to give you their grading system.
Ooh.
So, A1 graded is official. 1B is the stuff that was, unofficial but released through some GW publications,
magazines and things like that.
There's experimental rules. There's reliable rules that have been, done by the community. So whenever they put something up, you can see, how official it is, whether or not it's something that's completely out of left field. That somebody's gone, what would be great? Fishman. We should have a Fishman warband. Ronnie Renton, for example, almost undoubtedly said that out loud many times. and therefore this would be listed as something like for Ronnie Renton's madness. But
what happens if you click a PDF while you're talking?
Well, lots of things, but I don't want to do the you've already seen what a warband looks like. It's just a long list of things. So depending on where you come in from, if it's come from a scan from an official book, it will contain, scanned images. Other pieces are, more just textual, although they've tried to dress things up here, there, and everywhere. But it does mean you can come in and get your hands on the full Wartime rulebook, which in and of itself is very handy for when you need to get the rules so that your Vikings can start smashing monk heads here, there, and everywhere. If you fancy landing in the wash and poking some Anglo-Saxons with sticks, then you're going to have to work out how that goes. So as a repository for all things Mordheim, the Broheim site just really is the pinnacle, the key for how you can nip in here and just invest yourself. Obviously, warbands, there are a lot from your generics that came out from the actual game itself, and then you start to get into the
White Dwarf or Town Crier.
And it lists where they come from as well.
We only got to grade 2B at the minute.
Yes, it's whenever you start to hit the drafts where people have gone, what I really think is interesting? I think we should be doing and some of this might be because they've got the miniatures, or some of this might be because in some cases there are things like, Tillian Thespian Troop, so a traveling band of Tillian role players, actors, is good. But,
I'm reading that as Drowned Dead, and I'm thinking, who cares how they died?
I do. If I was on board that boat, or more importantly, if they were coming for me. But there's parts of the Warhammer world that haven't been explored in 20, 30 odd years, but we all know Araby, Cathay, Nippon, all of those places are on the map. And in some cases, the fact that they are there means that the fan base have actually explored more of the old world through this, and some of the factions and cults that maybe throwaway lines in a short story or something that the protagonist runs into very briefly in a novel, and then you're never referred to again. Whereas here you can see they are in great detail explored and expanded upon, and people have carved out their little niche far beyond the idea of a one city world. That Mordheim was essentially just a meteor's crashed into a city in the Empire. It's all gone wrong in there. Here are the people that it's gone wrong for.
Because they went off and explored the Empire in flames, and they did Lustria and all that kind of stuff, didn't they? Which I thought was really cool. I remember using this because the website's basically not changed since I was using this, a decade or more ago. to build up like Bretonian warbands, what was it, the Outlaws of the Forest and things like that, did like the Robin Hood style warband and everything. Like when we were diving into our campaigns, we still used the core book mostly, and then we all had to agree by committee that someone could use X or Y. Normally change decision making after the first game when they just absolutely ruffle stomped everybody, and it was like, no, you're not using Shadow Warriors again. But they're more official than anything. I don't care. They're too good.
They may be official. They weren't balanced.
Oh God, bloody elves!
See, you're coming on my side now. It's good. It's good times.
Couldn't you just play them with a handicap?
Yeah, not playing with them. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to take all your opponent's dice off him and then smash his army.
Take your toys and go home, please.
Yeah. But this is part and parcel. Even though they list it or they rank it by official, you might find that the warband under 2A is, reliable, created the fan tested stuff. The fans have made and tested it to make sure it's balanced to the official stuff. Is probably better to play with than some of the experimental unofficial stuff that Games Workshop published and went, but this is madness. Because there's a lot of fun in there. I mean, the Soldiers of Fortune are all good, clean family fun. Your actual name people. There's Aenor, the Sword of Twilight, the most popular character in the world ever because they give him away free with White Dwarf. I've still got 3 in my collection. We couldn't get that out of the store.
I turned my copy of him into Felix Jaeger because I couldn't buy Jaeger at that point. So yeah,
but even things like Ilya Marquand, who were comic book characters from. Remember when Warhammer Comic existed? Remember that, kids? Warhammer Monthly, it was called. So
I have their comics somewhere. They're great fun.
And then the Black Library made official little things of the Ilya Marquand, the Redeemer, and all sorts of things. So a whole ton of stuff.
Why are we not all just playing Mordheim then? Why have we
some
just
people
stopped?
are weird.
But people stopped. Yeah,
because I was just looking up again to remind myself. You only need 15 minis max.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't even say
amazing.
I mean, if you've got 15 minis on the table, then a lot of them haven't got weapons.
Yeah,
or they're dungers like goblins. So yeah, in most cases you're running about with 7 or 8.
That's your max commitment. If you wanted to go there, is 15.
Well, this is why Broheim
still exists.
I mean, if you search for Mordheim rules, you'll find that there are multiple websites that you can find it on. Broheim's the most complete collection, and also contains some interesting other bits and pieces in the ways of things like campaigns that they've spun off, giving you ideas of where you can go and how you can play beyond the city of Mordheim itself.
Is this where Games Workshop will go when they've finished resurrecting the old world?
I imagine this is exactly what will happen at some point.
Well, the old world is set around the period when Mordheim would have been a place. So
yeah, I think it's after Mordheim's got smashed.
It's when the comet has landed, but before Magnus the Pious.
Yeah, before they actually get to reclaim the land and send people in.
Before he burns it to the ground.
The additional rules, and there are some crackers in here. Because I didn't bother buying
Blazing Saddles one. Oh my god!
Yeah, I didn't buy a lot of the Mordheim magazines. I picked up a couple of them whenever they were sitting around. Yeah. But things like the Mouth of Madness, anything that's vaguely Cthulhu aligned, just does it for me. You know how much I love the Cthulhu, and so they've added insanity rules because obviously it's a campaign game where you're tracking your characters and their little minions for long periods of time. And just rather than going, they failed a terror test in this one, which means they ran back, 2d6 inches, or needed 6s to hit, blah, 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 ... Instead, you carry on marking not just the physical wounds they suffer, but the psychological wounds.
Brilliant.
And this right here, if you take nothing else from Mordheim and Broheim, the addition of this alongside the campaign rules to actually track who's suffering, because you might have somebody who's the best fighter in your warband, but he really doesn't want to go into a corridor by himself, or he hates houses, or whatever it happens to be. And you're going, well, at this point, he's slightly more detrimental to my warband. It may be time to retire him. He may be the best fighter out there, but he should really stay back home with a tartan travel blanket on and a big pair of slippers and just tell people about how great it used to be. Because quite frankly, every game I put him in, we lose because he just runs away from combat. So, I mean, that's gorgeous and long may it last. They've also if I go into additional, no, downloads and resources, where are you? Thomas Perninen, the writer of Mordheim, has done some additional bits and pieces with them as well. Stuff that he either wanted to do or thought that he should do. Or it's maybe lurking somewhere else and I'm not going to find it now. Which is always fun, I feel, when I'm looking for something. But he did the likes of a little story about essentially the Daughter of Light. Sigmar sends an avatar down to Mordheim to deal with something, and you get a whole slew off from that. And adds in a Sister of Sigmar character, Joanna Heldenhammer, who's like an absolute ass kicker that you can drop in there. So fact that it's
so weird that Sisters of Sigmar haven't become more of a thing. But
yeah, just the fact that you've got the original rules writer back to actually
doing stuff for the community
to add bits and pieces in beyond it. The front page may tell me, but I don't think it will, because they've had the 20th anniversary was 4 years ago, actually, I suppose, because it landed in 2000. So it
landed in that gap that nobody remembers. What was it? What
I remember
seems to be
2000.
three or four years of my life? They're a blur. Where did they go?
They've all gone away now, and we'll never see them again. Oh, there is new content from Thomas. So added a campaign map. There's the Child of Light.
Ooh, campaign map.
Look at the campaign. Oh my God, it's want with you, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Child of Light, like I say, you get the whole story behind her. You get
so good.
You get the character and the fact that there's invisible ghosts or invisible Sigmar angels following her all the time. And, keeping her out of trouble and punching things in the face that might want to hurt her, meaning she's a ridiculously overpowered character. And it does say, this is for one-off games or campaign games, or, a special something, a special something you want to do because, whenever you're running around with an actual living embodiment of a god trying to sort things out, you probably don't want to be chucking into a regular campaign with all your friends and they're scaven because they're going to walk home and never play the game again. And there's your campaign map, all the places you can visit.
We actually used that for our last Mordheim campaign that we did maybe 3 or 4 years ago. We sat down and used this to map out our games and all our different scenarios and stuff.
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, you can then literally carve off your territory. Where do you strike out from? Where do people need to go if they've kidnapped one of your
you can see why
members and that sort of thing.
People like making Mordheim tables because it's like specified. You can look at that sort of thing and go,
I'm
going to build this particular bit.
It is literally self-contained. Mordheim only takes place within the walls, so you don't have to worry about what's happening outside because nobody really cares what happens outside. The camps start there and then they walk inside to do all the stuff because this is where all the green stuff lives.
So unlike regular Warhammer, where it's like a huge map and you could be placing in fields here or there with no real guidance as to what you should be making, you can just look at that map and go, I'm going to make this.
Yeah. And it's a slightly less rundown Ankh-Morpork as well, which is good. So,
possibly have had an influence.
May have done. So, for people looking to get started in fantasy skirmish,
it's all
gaming,
still there.
It's all there, and so much more than anybody ever thought. More than I'm sure Thomas or any of the guys who worked on it thought whenever they actually wrote it 25 years ago.
I am of the thought that Joseph McCullough keeps writing Frostgrave supplements because he's trying to get to the level of having as many side things and supplements as Mordheim does.
I mean,
he will not stop until he has matched Broheim's list of content.
Yeah, but the problem is for every one Joe there is out there, the Broheim community is myriad.
Yeah.
They are legion, for they are many. But even if you don't want to do the fantasy slant of things, if you just want to do quick campaign games of the Dark Age stuff from Canister and Grape, then you just nip over to Broheim, the rules are there. And then you can pick and choose. So if you want to add in the psychology of the insanity table or whatever, you can pick and choose to your heart's content to make it as in-depth or as light a campaign experience as you want. And when you're playing Mordheim, it's all about the campaign experience, I feel.
You would feel like Uhtred then. Just this small band going around kicking ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just doing the Lord's own work and criticizing the Christian God. Isn't that what Uhtred did most of the time? He wasn't really on board with the whole Christian thing. He'd much rather just stay on with
annoying Alfred and infuriating Beocca. So yes.
And getting called a little shit stain.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know. Do we need to bleep that? I'll wait just in case we decide to.
I wouldn't have thought so.
It was in the BBC show. I think I'm safe to say it.
Yeah.
That is how
this goes out after 9.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't. In America, this goes out after 9.
He was called an arsling, by the way.
Arsling, that's it, not shit stain. Oh, in case we need to beep that again.
Right. So, yes, for World Book Day, our indies are Broheim, Canister and Grape for their Dark Age stuff, and NASA. It's the most famous of all independent D&D writers.
That NASA thing's it's annoying the crap out of me. That NASA.
You can go read it.
What?
You can go read it yourself and then work out how all the things work. Because I'm not going to tell you.
It's annoying me because someone got paid to sit and look at the moon, and they did that instead. No, I'm still looking at the moon. I'm working on my campaign. I'm going to get my company to publish it.
Maybe they did it while they were in space and had nothing better to do. So
that's true.
Particularly quiet day on the space shuttle.
The shuttle was 20 minutes late to pick them up from ISS.
Look, that's it. Look, America. Look where your tax dollars go.
They're packed with their bags, ready to go home, just waiting on the shuttle and just sitting doodling in the departures lounge. Astalon.
That's definitely how it happened. Yeah.
Right. I think it's time for some news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
Alrighty, it's time for some news. And we're going to kick things off with a bit of the wiki wah wah.
Yeah. So a lot of people potentially dived in on the Kickstarter for this last year, which was the Dead Man's Hand Redux starter set from the folks at Great Escape Games. I know everyone's been loving a little bit of Dead Man's Hand over the last couple of months, towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year. It's back with its sort of new edition. I say new edition sort of with air quotes because it's effectively just an update and
it's a 1.5.
Yes, of the rules. It's still very much the game that you remember, but
you need to buy it then.
Well, if you wanted to play other people in like a more competitive scene, probably yes. You could still just run around with the old books if you wanted to. There's nothing stopping you, but yeah. It will have changes and things in there that you will need to dive into, as well as all the next new cards and things like that.
There is actual updates. It's not just fixing this mistake, fixing that mistake.
No, it's more than just a basic errata. Yeah. So yes, the new rules are available for you to pre-order alongside the new starter set. This is all coming out on the 20th of April. Ooh. So that'll be after Salute.
Yes.
But you'll be able to get your hands on all of these right now. It's a full plastic starter set.
Who's making the buildings? Is it Renedra?
It's them and Renedra, I would guess, as well. So because they do all the sprues and things for them anyway. The set comes with 10 male gunfighters and 5 female gunfighters, alongside the 3 fully detailed interior and exterior plastic buildings that you see.
They look sweet. Any more pictures of those?
We'll get to them. Calm down.
You also get all of the scatter terrain and things that they sort of unlocked stuff through the Kickstarter campaign.
Booze bottles. Nice.
Yeah, so you got your booze bottles, your axes, your crates, your wagon wheels, and everything else in between.
These are all plastic as well.
Yeah, all plastic as well. The set also comes with, as previously mentioned, the rulebook, but you also get your decks of cards, your tokens, and everything else that you need to play the game, all set up for that kind of 2-player adventure. on the tabletop, which I think is awesome. In addition to the start set, and obviously you can just buy the rulebook and the cards and tokens, because a lot of people will probably have a lot of Dead Man's Hand gangs already if you're into this kind of Wild West game. I think you may, Jerry, but you can also get up a selection of different bundles. So there's things like the 2-horse town bundle, which gives you a whole host of additional buildings for you to snap up.
The boardwalks really set off the buildings there.
The boardwalks are all separate as well, which is
the duck board sprues separate, so they because that's the main thing. You can build a lot of buildings, but the duck boards, like say, set it off, Lloyd, and
really
it's always
that vibe.
Because at one point it was like, you don't just want a little veranda, a little porch on every building. You want to be able to run them through your town streets. Yeah. It's also an expansion, so the ground floor is stackable, which is one of the things they unlocked. So you could create bigger or different, or if you want to drop some of the bigger, the first floor buildings off for a game and just have a load of just single stories for maybe a shanty town or whatever. It's all good in the hood. Yeah.
They've also, in addition to the plastic sets that already exist and they've been out for a while now, they got a whole range of new miniatures sculpted for it as well. So the cover stars are available as options for you to pick up. So if you want to get your hands on the cover miniatures, you can add those into your gang and have some fun with them. Maybe set up some scenarios based on their particular characters, which I think is quite neat. And of course, you can get your hands on a whole host of other Dead Man's Hand stuff over on their web store as well. They have all of their existing gangs and everything else in between for you to go and dive into and pick up alongside terrain and all sorts of accessories and everything as well. So Dead Man's Hand is back with a vengeance. Will be arriving. I would hope that everything goes live properly for full releases at high noon on the 20th of April. That would be kind of cool, but there we go. So,
well, I mean, it would make sense. It'd be very, very, very thematic, if nothing else.
It would be. That is also a very good example of the painted buildings as well. Good little shot there as well. I think it's quite nice.
I mean, the stuff's terrific. The Kickstarter let them unlock a fair amount of stuff beyond just, the single story building that was always going to be in the box up to the double, but also add extra stuff to the sprues. So there's, crows and bits and pieces that you can have perched on telegraph poles or lurking over the top of the bar to crap on people as they walk out.
Brilliant.
I should paint some of those when I actually paint my minis, paint little bird poos.
The plastic male and female gunfighters are getting mounted versions as well. Now they're going to be a little bit further out. They were always on the cards. They were on the cards for 2025, I think. But the fact that they got far enough in the Kickstarter means I think they've pulled them forward, so they should be done this year.
This is great. I've procrastinated about this till it became awesome enough for me to put it back on my radar.
Well, there you go. I mean, you're already in there. So that if you've not played any starter sets, obviously a great way to go. If you already have stuff, then the starter set gives you the new rules and deck of cards, which is only little tweaks. There were a few cards in there that gameplay wise they all have special abilities on them, so you can play them as initiative cards or you can play them as special abilities. And number 3 I think was Dust in Their Eye, which only really works if your opponent's aiming and firing, and if they weren't doing that and you never really got the chance to use it, it was a bit of a dead card or a dud card. So they've changed up how some of the bits and pieces in there work to make the game flow. Well, not even make the game flow. Make all the cards a viable option to keep in your hand rather than just go, well, this is dung, I can't wait to get rid of it. And then there's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly books, which will be coming a little bit out down the line. So if you already have gangs, you can still use your current rules from the old ones because they're all compatible, but the good book will introduce all the good factions. And then the bad and the ugly is the other book that introduces all the, so the Ned Kelly gang and Desperados and Mexicans.
All the things that Shay wants to play.
All the things, all the things Shay wants to play. They'll be they're a few months down the line. I think there's the books come out in sections. That's not the word I want to use, but you know what I mean. Yeah. There's a schedule, people.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
In supplements.
That's the ones. Yeah. The good, the bad, and the ugly are the 2 book names.
Yeah.
So You just have to hold your wish for them. But yeah, more than enough to get you started in
Looking
the
great.
starter set.
Yeah.
Right. This next one looks a bit dull. We'll skip that and just go on to the
Not skipping it.
I think for Lloyd's sake, we should dive into this one. So we got the first proper teasers from Mantic Games about their upcoming Halo miniatures game, which is going to be called Halo Flashpoint. This is coming straight to retail in autumn 2024. And this initial preview showed off 4 of the Spartans that you'll be able to get your hands on when the game lands. Painted up very, very nicely indeed, as you can see there. Very good, very good. The game, we got a little bit more detail on stuff, actually, which was quite nice. So previous to what we'd said about the game, it's going to be Spartan versus Spartan to begin with, sort of based on the kind of multiplayer style gameplay that you will expect from Halo games, and you can see playing in the background as well. However, they said that you're going to get pre-assembled plastic Spartans in the set. Makes sense for anyone coming over from Halo just wanting to pick up the models and just have some fun. But they're also going to be doing pre-colored, easy-to-assemble terrain as well for you to build up your tabletops. I'd imagine it's going to be played on a mat or a board or something that you'll get in the box as well, which would make a lot of sense. They basically, as I say, showed off these 4 miniatures with a range of different weapons and stuff. Very nice paint schemes, as I said. Lots of very iconic helmet designs and armor choices as well, which I think was quite good. They also then dropped a few little teasers here and there. A lot of people were like, this is dumb. Where's the Covenant, brah? And then Mantic were like, Jesus, this is just a teaser. Quit your whining. Because they
I went on and whined on their video too. As the official on tabletop, it said we need the Covenant to throw stickies at us.
But they did say that this is just the start, and I would imagine it is fairly, blatantly obvious that they're going to be looking at things like the Covenant and maybe the Flood in future expansions as well, because they said this is just the start, and this will be your training before you dive into something a little bit bigger.
Here's the thing, though: they need to do that for this to actually feel like Halo. Because the weird thing about Halo as the multiplayer game is Halo's gone the same route as all these other video games where, turn your character this color, make them glow, stick this bit on them, stick that bit on them, this thing here that's polka dots and red and bunny ears. And you're looking at it, go, none of this looks like Halo. so the thing is, the minis they've made there do look kind of like Halo, but the only thing left in Halo that actually looks properly like Halo is the Covenant creatures.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
The grunts, the elites,
jackals,
the banished,
hunters.
The banished, or what are they called again? Brutes.
Yeah.
They all look like Halo, whereas all the actual Spartans have gone all wacky looking in the game.
They've got all Call of Duty.
Yeah, exactly. Except you don't have. What did they put in Call of Duty? It was really stupid recently. Oh, the bros
stuff.
The bros or the brawl. What's that superhero thing?
The boys.
The boys, not the bros. Anyway, yeah.
that's the spin-off straight to DVD version.
I haven't gone that far. But what I mean by that is if you want actual stuff and you wouldn't look at this in game, it looks like Halo, they're going to need to come out with the Covenant and stuff. Because if they go this route, I'm excited about it. But if they go this route and it's all based on the multiplayer thing, I'd be looking at it going, yeah, it's nice, but why don't I just go play multiplayer? Why don't I just go play Halo? If you're just going to
see your friends in real life.
But I have more friends in my virtual life that I kick the ass off on Halo than I do in real life.
I see. Right. Okay.
How do you make your dice in digital?
and you guys just get a better ping. That's how there's plenty of software for that too. Gits. That's PC gamers. Oh, I hate them. What was I saying? Oh yes, because here's the thing, right? If you're really good at Halo, you're probably just going to spend your time playing the video game. Maybe. Because if you're really bad at Halo, you probably don't play Halo, and therefore you're not tied into this version of the multiplayer. It means nothing to you. Which means if it doesn't look like Halo from the past, what are you buying into? They need to get the Covenant and stuff in this for this, in my opinion, to really start feeling like Halo, because the way Spartans are today, the ones they've made do look Halo-esque. They haven't gone too crazy. So it's good to see, what they're coming out with in the core set of Spartans. Looks like Spartans without it going as crazy as the video game.
So what you're saying is you don't want a DLC add-on of a flaming helmet a flame
I
samurai helmet.
don't want no bloody bunny ears. Bunny ears or Christmas hats. You know they'll have one at Christmas with a bloody Christmas hat on. But that's all right. But they wear them all year long, bloody Christmas hats and red noses. It's just like, I'm playing Halo here. I'm not playing.
It's not July yet.
Are you still talking about Mantic's game, or are you just having a rant?
I'm just ranting about Halo at this point.
So here's the
saying
thing.
I hope that Mantic doesn't go too far down that route and sticks to more traditional looking actual Spartans, to make sure that the game maintains the proper feel of Halo, rather than going that every video game route has to. Every video game seems to be going exactly the same way. I have to be multicolored, glowing, crazy creature with all sorts of weird adaptions and stuff. That's not Halo.
That's just to sell people
DLC. Yeah, it's microtransactions.
Yeah,
let's just wait for the Helldivers board game.
The I'm assuming the Spartans in the. Have you played the multiplayer before the bunny ears annoyed you?
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So I'm assuming all of the Spartans are the same to begin with.
No, there's multiple core options. You can be a samurai Spartan. You can be a dustbin Spartan. That's a guy.
That means nothing to me. You're going to have to explain to me and all the other people who don't care about digital. I was going to say something there that I can't because it would.
That's like you don't look like Master Chief anymore in Halo. There's there's whole different armor suits you can put on, and then you can mix them, and then there's about 20 different heads that you can have. So what I'm saying is, at least they're going down this route with the Spartans they've made look like Spartans, rather than going too wacky. Like the recent stuff that come out looks nothing like Halo.
So when you're playing these, it doesn't matter if I pick Captain Red Arm or Punchy Space Visor guy. They all play the same way and have the same weapon options.
They're all Spartans.
Oh yes, they all play the same. All have the same weapon options. There's very limited weapon options in Halo, which is great. There's plenty of guns you can pick up, but it's not like Call of Duty, for example, where there's X amount of different versions of this gun and that gun. You know, if you pick up a rocket launcher, it's the rocket launcher. You can skin it to look slightly differently, but it's just the rocket launcher. The shotgun is the shotgun. There isn't hordes of multiple different versions.
So I imagine the fact that they've gone with Spartan versus Spartan for the core set, it's to stop I really want to play the Master Chef, but my mate bought the game and he's Master Chef, and now I'm getting stuck being a bug-faced slug man. So they don't do that. They just all go, you all get to be the Spartan to begin with, and then later on they can add the other stuff that does different things. But for the time
I'm sure they'll add stuff, but they need to, if you look at the last link I just put in that doc there,
already on.
You'll see the latest armor options that have come out for Halo. So I'm saying I'm glad they're I'm glad they're not going this route, because this doesn't look like Halo. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to put all this mad stuff in eventually, you need the Covenant in it to ground it in the Halo universe as something that looks like Halo.
This looks like a visual wall of puke. Lloyd, I'm so glad you're making me open this.
Yeah.
Thanks for this.
I wonder if there's anything you can click that makes articulate sleeves.
I won't, don't worry.
Oh, just scroll down slightly. Oh, you can't even make them big.
No, it's fine. It's already upsetting my eyes, so I'm not going to worry about it.
Right, you see the way they've gone all multicolored and look a bit like
you two can have a slightly different colored visor for 100,000.
Yeah, it looks like someone from Crisis fell into 26 paint pots.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay,
I got that reference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But what I'm saying is, I'm glad that they've gone with regular looking Spartans. They look pretty normal-ish.
The more recognizable armor.
I can't imagine they ever would waste their time, effort attempting to put bunny ears on a thing. I'm sure there will be people who go, I'll get my Master Chef and I'll put bunny ears on them. It'll be a nice conversion project.
So I'm just wondering who their audience is. Like, if you're building this for people who are really into the game, they'll just go play the game. If you're building it for people who aren't playing the game, well, they're more into what Halo used to be like in Halo 3. Halo 3 was kind of probably the peak.
I've only ever played Halo on my Xbox, which I'm led to believe is close to 25 years ago now. So I don't have any.
So if you wouldn't recognize them. If I said those are from Halo, you'd be like, oh, is it? Don't look anything like Master Chief.
Oh, Master Chef. No, Captain Red Arm there looks like Master Chef.
One of them. Is that it?
Yeah. The other one's got big bubbly heads, but it more comes down to, I'm aware that things exist beyond the original Halo, but a lot of it comes down to what the game's like. And I can't stress this enough. At no point have I ever bought into a game because of the miniatures. I've bought into a game because the game's good.
Well, at this
And if
point,
the game isn't good, I don't care how good. They could send me a life-size outfit for MasterChef to my house for me to dance around in. But it all comes down to the game. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. And if people want to collect miniatures, they'll just go and buy action figures or whatever.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you want to attract the Halo audience over, thank goodness they're going to have Covenant and stuff that's recognizably Halo.
I think they will.
Spartans have gone crazy. You could just go and buy those new Infinity minis and drop them in, and they wouldn't necessarily look out of place. Which is, with the way it's going. So I'm just glad to see that they've gone a more traditional look and didn't go crazy yet. We'll have bunny ears by Christmas.
As a finishing thought,
Pretty sure they won't. Not the cost of plastic molds.
As a finishing thought,
A resin add-on. Get your bunny ears.
On the video game to tabletop conversion. Remember that a lot of people on Kickstarter backed a Call of Duty board game. A lot of people.
Oh, yeah,
so I think a lot of people will be.
Then there was one we were looking at last year, and I don't know what the game was. I can't remember it, but I remember it was a MOBA game. So was it MOBA? Is that your arena games? I don't know. Anyway,
it's
but it had all the like plastic shells for the shielding and stuff. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Ben?
Yes.
And it got a ridiculous amount of money as well. So people will.
I wonder what their terrain's going to look like.
That's what it was.
They've said nothing except there's terrain coming.
They said it's going to be pre-colored, easy to assemble terrain.
Oh, pre-colored stuff.
Yes, which probably means just colored plastic.
I wonder if they're trying to replicate any of the stuff from the video game, because their trailer is very heavily focused on live fire, the map, and there's a tiny bit of recharge at the front.
I imagine they'll probably have picked one of the maps and gone, let's just make the terrain based on that. So
because the thing is, all the maps look very different from each other now.
Yeah.
Well, they always have
based on different locations and stuff. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, Halo later this year,
running around the ring.
Yeah. At the end of March, we're going to get a lot more details on this. So
yes,
and so we can revisit this topic once again.
I'm sure plenty of people will buy in on it because there's like 45,000 views or something on the video already.
Yeah,
there's an audience for it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you're really good at Halo, you go play Halo rather than play a board game. And if you're really crap at it, you need Halo to look and feel like Halo.
It's the disenfranchised people that bought in onto the TV series and went, actually, no, I just want something else now.
I haven't even tried dipping into the TV series yet.
I've watched a couple of reviews and just went...
Does he ever put his helmet on?
It's like the Judge Dredd then with Stallone. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's like the Mandalorian, where the guy was like, I have to have my head showing on the flipping thing. Why? Because people won't care about my character if they don't see my face. I think they will.
I've never seen Judge Dredd's face, and I never will. And that's the best thing about it.
Wow.
Right.
From one IP to another, a little bit of quick news in the role-playing sphere.
Will it be quick?
Modiphius announced last week that they are going to be doing a new Discworld role-playing game. It has been a very long time since there was, since the first Discworld role-playing game, which came out in 1998 from Steve Jackson Games and was GURPS adjacent. Well, used the GURPS rules.
They used the GURPS rules,
yeah. Beloved by some, hated by others, as tends to be the case with anything in our line of work. But Modiphius said that they are going to be returning with Discworld, the role-playing game, which will celebrate 40 years since The Colour of Magic arrived on bookshelves. They are going to be focusing on doing a Kickstarter in late 2024. And they've said that the primary focus to begin with is going to be around Ankh-Morpork, so the main city that a lot of people will know from Discworld, but they are not adverse to going beyond that and exploring more of the disc. But Ankh-Morpork seems like an excellent place to start because it is a city you could adventure in for many, many years. One of the key things they've talked about recently is that they are very much in the sort of vein of, D&D as it was over the last couple of years, where it's trying to get community support for this. So they effectively want you to dive in and have your say. There is already a survey available for you to dive into where you can share your thoughts on Discworld and what you like about role-playing games and stuff like that. So if you want to have your say on this, make sure to check that out and keep an eye on this page as well, this landing page, because they're going to be firing out more information throughout the rest of the year about where they want to go with this.
Have they commissioned artwork for this, or is this traditional artwork?
No, that's Paul Kidby's.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's going to probably be drawn from the books, I would imagine, the old books and the collections and stuff like that. The other thing that I think a lot of people are quite interested in is what they're going to do with it mechanically. Obviously, it's not going to be the GURPS rules because they're Steve Jackson's. Yeah. But will it be 2D20? I'm hoping they try and do something entirely original because Discworld seems to feel like it deserves something original. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it, obviously. I wouldn't say no to 2D20. I think it's fine. But something a little bit more sort of like themed towards Discworld would be great. I also think for a lot of people who are out there have been like, we don't need a Discworld role-playing game. I'm like, yeah, but think about all the things you do in your D&D games. That's basic. The weird shit that you get up to in those games is effectively Discworld. So just enjoy it and have some fun with it. I think this is going to be great. I can't wait to see what they do with it. We'll be keeping an eye out for the Kickstarter later this year.
Perhaps Discworld should be right behind me, but it's not.
It's escaped. The librarians come in and run off with it.
I'm not entirely certain why it's escaped, but it has done.
You didn't chain the book down like they...
Well, I should have done. Yeah, there's a lot going on with it. It's interesting that they have gone Ankh-Morpork.
Yeah.
And just went, we're doing this here. The GURP system was great because it just gave you everything you need. You've got 50-ish books set in Discworld. Yes. Yeah. There are 3 maps. From the Discworld world. So you've got the disc itself, you've got Death's Domain, and you've got in fact maybe 4 because you've got Lancre as well, and of course Ankh-Morpork. So things already exist out there that you can go, I've got the entire world, I know where I want to play. You go off, read a book and go, oh, Last Continent, you say? Well, that seems like a lot of fun. The fact that they've gone, we're just going to do the main rule book for Ankh-Morpork is baffling to me as a ban. I'm very confused because
it'll be interesting to see. Yeah,
it's not like anything that's in there beyond some of the actual people can't be just transposed to anywhere else. You've got trolls and you've got dwarves. Well, then you can go up to Lancre and do the Copperhead stuff. It's all fine. There's nothing restrictive. There's nothing keeping you in Ankh-Morpork except the fact that they're not giving you. Maybe you don't have the maps. Maybe you don't know where you're going to and running about out there.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. The survey, by the way, I hit that survey. I did that survey as soon as it came up.
Did it ask you, is this game woke enough? Did it ask that?
No, the second question in it was describe in your own words your favorite moment from Discworld novel. I'm going, well, Jesus, why not just ask me who my favorite child is? Or, it's the equivalent. You just can't. And how do you put that into words? How can you put into words the fact that by the end of, Night Watch, where you've spent the guts of like 30 years with Vimes as a character, going from being a drunk and guards to being the commander of the City Watch to Duke and all the like thud and raising statement and all the rest of it. And then he's transported back in time to train his younger version of himself and then do Carcer, and you get to retread those streets again as he was when he was a kid and when the watch wasn't a thing. And you go through all of this and he gets to the end and his son's been born. And it's tear jerking.
John,
you can't do any of that in a survey with a little box this long. So I just ended up writing, do not make this shit.
What's he
That's what I wrote.
What's he talking about? What's he talking about?
I don't know, Lloyd, because I'm as lost as you when you went off on Halo.
Yeah, so. see your bunny ears thing, mate? This is payback for that. But
I will also say,
I didn't come up with anything called GURP.
GURPS is generic universal roleplay system. It's a 3D6 system.
Yes.
So it works on a 3D6 bell curve.
I will also say that Modiphius have also said that they are going to be exploring Discworld in more detail. So as well as having the role-playing game, I would imagine they're going to be revisiting the board game space as well. There's already
that'd be interesting.
Games out there for,
Clacks
itself and Clacks and all that kind of stuff. I would think they'll probably look at something new, as well as perhaps maybe revisiting some of the older games and getting them back out there in the world again. I actually quite like the Warport game. I think it's very good. Guard's not so good, but
because there were a couple of different there was a couple of guys from Near Nerd did some Project games, but then Nanti Narking by Phalanx was originally...
That was the original Ankh-Morport game that got revisited.
And obviously because that rule set still belongs to Phalanx, I don't know if that one will be revisited.
So maybe it'll be new stuff. Yeah.
But it'll be interesting.
Loads of scope.
If Rihanna's involved, because she has written for RPGs.
Not the Umbrella Woman before.
That explains it.
No, Terry Pratchett's daughter. She's an author in her own right, and she has written for RPGs.
Yes.
And if you're doing an RPG based on Discworld,
you'd hope she'd involved.
I would like her to be involved in some way, but time will tell. As long as they've got Paul Kitby doing all the interior artwork, that's good.
If nothing else, the artwork the book should be amazing.
Should be absolutely banging, as I believe you kids say.
Since we're talking about Discworld, I know we're talking about the RPG there. Is anybody still doing the minis? Is Micro Studios still doing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They still sell them. Yeah.
Don't need them for RPGs now.
I know, but they're nice.
They are nice.
I still need to get myself a Rincewind and a luggage, because I bought some for Sam years ago, and then I was like, "Oh, you can have these, Sam." And then I was like, "God, I wish I kept them now." But
should have.
Sam, give them back.
Thankfully, I have them all, so I'm replete, regardless of what happens in the future. I'm okay, and once again, that's the main thing. That I'm okay.
Modiphius doing great stuff there. Yeah. Moving on to a little bit more news. Another blast from the past has returned with full pre-orders. So Hasbro and Avalon Hill, alongside Renegade Game Studios, are taking pre-orders for the return of Heroscape. Yes, you heard me right. Heroscape is back once again.
What year is it?
The ones with the little clicky bases.
The ones with the clicky... No, not Hero Clicks.
Oh.
This is Heroscape.
The one with the hexagon tiles. Terrain.
Yes. So they're relaunching the game after the failed relaunch with a new master set for 2 players called Age of Annihilation, focused around the battle of all time, where in classic Heroscape fashion, you will get models from all sorts of different genres and everything else in between coming back to the tabletop.
Are these pre-colored PVC or what are they?
Now, here's the difference. There are 2 flavors of Heroscape you can now pick up. You can either buy them as unpainted plastics, which is the cheaper option, or you can buy them pre-painted, as you can see there.
When you say plastic, though, is it the PVC stuff?
It's the board gamey plastic, yes. Yeah. So it's the classic stuff. Let's say there's the Age of Annihilation set, which is designed for 2 players to dive into and have some fun with. Everything that they are doing, have done, and will do is all compatible. So if you have Heroscape in a box somewhere, you can crack it out and combine it with all the things that you're seeing here to have some extra Heroscape fun on the tabletop. As a lot of people in the comments have pointed out, look, free Battletech terrain.
Yep. It's not free, you got to pay for it.
Well, yeah. But Rob, your friend who bought Age of Annihilation, and
one tile at a time every time you play.
Yes, exactly, yeah. In addition to the Age of Annihilation set, which is a slightly bigger set, and the master set for you to dive into for 2 players, they've also released the battle box called Battle for the Wellspring, which is more designed as a gateway game for Heroscape. So you dive in and play this, and it's more of a focused experience with a handful of miniatures per side, smaller area that you'll be fighting over and everything like that. While both of these are 2-player sets, there's nothing to stop you taking it up to 4 or whatever players by either buying new sets and things like that down the line, either through battle boxes or combining 2 Age of Annihilation sets, or maybe just combining everything from your collection. It is very, very similar to him. Yeah.
That gun needs drilled out.
No, we're not going down that route. And then last but not least, there's also the Grove at Lower's Edge. So if you're looking to get your hands on some really nice jungle terrain,
it comes looking like that. That's kind of cool. You just wash that.
And away you go. So these are designed to help theme your tabletops a little bit more. They're in line with the storyline they're trying to play out through Age of Annihilation and Battle of All Time. And the Battle of All Time taking place at the Battle for the Wellspring. So you can combine all of that together to have some fun with it. As I say, you can either get it pre-painted or unpainted, and more stuff is coming out in the near future. So yes, good stuff there.
Fancy stuff. The old Heroscapage. I wonder if it'll gain any traction at all this time.
I don't know. Probably not.
Does anybody want it? Like the Hexy look anymore? Does anybody want it?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, not for Heroscape, but yeah, for proper games.
Do you want it, John? Would you buy the Hexy stuff if they sold it separately?
No.
Yeah, because you play Alpha Strike, don't you?
Yeah. Don't need it.
Oh, well, there you
But
go.
like I say, for people who play,
Real BattleTech.
real BattleTech proper games, they're after it. Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, great stuff there.
Fish bite.
As well as that sort of look into the past, we also have a little bit of a look into the future and some news that came out from Games Workshop over the weekend. There's a bunch of different things for their specialist games and also their 2 main games as well. The first of these was the announcement of possibly the best looking Blood Bowl team they have ever created. Gnomes. Yes, Gnomes.
Gnomes
are from Warhammer. My friend was aghast when he heard this. He was like, Gnomes aren't in Warhammer. And I was like, oh, I think you'll find they are.
I can't remember Gnomes ever being.
This is great. I didn't
They
know
are
that.
in some of the earliest books and in the role-playing game as well that you find them. I only really remembered that they existed when one of the new books came out for 4th edition,
Nice.
One Fantasy Roleplay. But yes, going back to this is a new gnome team that is going to be hitting the tabletop, the Glim Dwaro Groundhogs. They are a combination of gnomish players, as you can see here, alongside their Beastmasters that run around the battlefield with foxes and badgers.
That badger looks brutal.
It does look, he's a brutal badger. Yeah. A whole host of lovely animals alongside
what is
those
that?
lovely
It's
gnomes.
a fox with a ball in its mouth.
Oh, yeah,
Fox,
that's what it is.
Yeah. The only thing they're missing
Fox
is
with a ball in
squirrels,
its mouth.
really. But yeah,
Aren't they lurking around the halflings?
they are hanging around with the halflings. That is very true. Yeah. So yes, this set is going to be coming out. I think a lot of people are going to be snapping it up. As a lot of people have pointed out, there's one female miniature in there that is definitely going to get painted as Smurfette, and then the rest is Smurfs. It's a really fun little set, and I just love the fact that the people behind the kind of indie game, I say indie, specialist game, sorry, within Games Workshop, just seem to have a lot of fun with the models that they create. The Tree Man looks amazing as well. This is an Altern Forest Tree Man, so it's a little bit different from the one that we've seen already. It comes with 2 different variants for you to choose from when building it. So if you want to have 2 big guys in your team, you've got some nice options there for posing. But yeah, I think in terms of glorious new models from Games Workshop, those Glim Dwaro Groundhogs, those gnomes are looking gorgeous, and I think a lot of people are going to be painting those.
They're
up.
not. If you
The only
painted
reason
them,
it's in here.
if you painted them green, you could have an alternative looking goblins too.
You could do, yeah, like goblin-y gremlins instead.
Add wee bits, add some wee green stuff to their ears to point them out.
There you go. Yeah.
Maybe they just trim their ears down.
Oh, you could do that too.
Yeah.
I think it's safer to stick bits on than cut bits off.
The Ulgu illusionist thing carries through into the models as well. So you've got the one who's presenting the ball, but behind her, she's got the actual one, which I thought was quite fun. So yes, some really nice stuff on that front with those miniatures there. So yeah, great stuff for Blood Bowl and more fun models from Games Workshop there. Moving to the grimdark of the far future, we have a couple of new models that were previewed for the next factions to get their codexes in Warhammer 40,000. The Orcs getting themselves a big mech, as you can see there. Again, one of the nicest looking models I think Games Workshop's done in a very long time. Lovely proportions. Love all the accessories to it. A lot of people saying there's too much. I don't think you can have too much when it comes to Orcs. I think more Dakka is best Dakka. As Sundancer would probably say. I also like that his expression is slightly more like focused, which makes sense for kind of like a big mech. Or you can go down the mad route and have him chomping down with his iron jaw, which I think is quite cool. Comes kind of like welded into his legs, as you can see there, and you can see all the pipes and the bionics and stuff in his arm, which I think is brilliant. All of it obviously just works because he thinks it does, which is the Orcish way. A very nice new model on that front. That's going to be available supposedly first as part of a battle force called the Stomper Boys. The Stomper Boys are coming, but anyway.
Oh, they're bringing this bloody thing back.
Yeah, so the Stomper is going to be back in a box set alongside a bunch of boys, looters, and a truck, as you can see there.
Could we not have had a new one?
Alas, no.
It's been a long time.
No, because Games Workshop has worked out if we just dig up sprues from the past, you'll just buy it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the way it works, right?
That's how old world worked.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't forget to comment for this week's prize.
The great thing about that is, though, if you like cut the head of it out, you've got like a nice trash can you can keep beside your desk.
That's very true. Yeah,
or a super fancy ashtray.
Build one of those silly, those stupidly expensive paint mixers into it. You lift the head off and you put the paint pot in.
Vortex mixer.
A
Yeah, that's the
mixer
one.
and a stomper.
Yeah. It just vibrates across your table for a while.
That'll be good. As well as the orcs, there was also a new miniature for the Adeptus Custodes. Not quite as nice looking, in my opinion. The Shield Captain, who is very squat and round.
Holy shit. I genuinely thought he was Age of Sigmar.
Oh, an Age of Sigmar dude. Oh, no, he's an Adeptus Custodes. So, yeah. He's a Henry Cavill.
Right.
Yeah. I am... There's just some... I think it's very hard for them to make miniatures for the Adeptus Custodes. They always look amazing in art, but all the miniatures for them just look a bit weird. And I think it's because their armor is meant to be so ornate and over the top. It just feels odd when it's sculpted in miniature form.
Because they can't get that level of Baroque detail onto the armor. And I think the problem with them is they're not tall enough. Because you see in a lot of the art, they are like a lot taller and not as broad as a Space Marine, or they are, but they're taller, you know. They should be at least Primaris height, if not taller than that.
Yeah.
And that's what's making this guy in particular, he, as you say, he looks round, but the photography I don't think's doing that justice, because we've lost a lot of depth from that stance that he's got, and he's got his shoulders way out. So
yeah, the shield doesn't help either, having that bowl feel, that concave feel to it either.
It's often a lot of the 40k miniatures look okay in photography, but they look much better in
when you get them in person.
Like Commander Farsight, when it came out, I was like, nah, and then I got my hands on one. I was like, actually, no, that is pretty easy.
He's so like a boxy. Kid. He's so boxy. He's a boxy chicken.
Yeah, he is very boxy. Yeah, looks better with the helmet on, I'd say.
Yeah,
but otherwise, he looks better with the helmet off.
You think so?
He looks like Michael Ironside from Turbo Rider.
At least I can make out where his head is.
That's true. Yeah. As I say, getting lost in the detail when it comes to Adeptus Custodes, unfortunately. But at least they're easy to paint, right? He's going to be coming out as part of another battle force as well, called the Auric Champions, which will come with a whole host of...
same things we've had before.
Exactly, yeah. A big army of heroes for you to stomp your friends with, effectively.
That's 2,000 points right there. That's it.
Yep, pretty much. No need to bulk it out with a stomper. They're all like 200 points each. There you go. But yes, some great stuff there for both of those factions. They're going to be getting, well, not so great for stuff, but they're going to be getting their codexes as well in the near future. So Orcs and Adeptus Custodes will get their books in the next couple of weeks. So watch out for that. Well,
I love that. Well, some great stuff there. Well, maybe not so great.
The Orc's great. The Orc was amazing, but the Shield Captain was bleh. Yeah. Now,
I want to know some more bleh. I'll inject a bit of news that I think is bleh.
Oh.
I think Dust is getting a zombie side release. And that's all we ever need to say about that. Move on.
No. There we go.
Somebody just sent you a message about that.
I seen someone on Facebook who went, nope, not for me. Move on.
Fair enough.
Moving on to some of the best looking miniatures that we've seen in a very long time. Have you played as the Slave to Darkness and realized that you really wanted to make a Marauders army and then realized that all your models are about 20 years old? Well, that's now changing because Games Workshop have released a whole bunch of updated miniatures for the Darkoath, your Chaos Marauders in your games. So they're going to be doing the Darkoath Chieftain on Warsteed, giving you an awesome new leader model for you to throw into your games. Looking very cool. It comes with a whole bunch of different options. You can change his weapons. You can change his face to have either the helmet or not, depending on which way you want to go. You can also change the mask on the front of the horse as well, which I think is quite nice. But an excellent new Marauder champion for you to use in your games. There's also the Wilder Fiend, which is a monstrous new addition to your Marauder army. I think the alternative face for that is way better. There's a little link later that we'll look at for that one. But yes, that's going to be coming out. They are your mutated chaos-ified Marauders who have maybe gone a little bit too far. They've asked for some boons from the Dark Gods, and then they've been gifted the bestial strength that you see there. But they are slightly sort of like guardians of your tribe, almost kind of watch over you like spirit animals, which I think is quite cool. Although probably moaning.
Spirit Nightmare.
They're happier
Spirit
being
Nightmare.
monsters.
Yeah. There's also some replacements for the basic Marauders. So your Darkoath Marauders have got a full-on upgrade. No longer are they the classic ones from rank and file days of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. They've been updated, as you can see here, with lots of different male and female bodies, armed with either hand weapons, as you can see there, or you can give them spears if you prefer to go down that route. More in line now with the Warcry warbands that we've seen and stuff for Warhammer Underworlds, which I think is really, really nice. Lovely dynamic poses, which is great.
This one over here
Yes.
needs to ask this one over here why there's never any food left when they get to the end of the line.
Yes. You ate all the chaos pies.
Yes.
I got some lovely stones here as well.
Yes, some very lovely terrain in the foreground, as you can see. I wonder if
They've got a bird poo on one of them. Awesome.
But yes, so they're going to be coming out as your foot troops, but also your Marauder Horsemen have got an upgrade as part of the Darkoath Fell Riders, as you can see there. So big, hefty, thunderous mounts with warriors at the back.
They're all in a hurry to get home before she eats all the food.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
Let's just go all out and fat shimmer. Go on.
But you've got lots of different options there with spears or hand weapons if you prefer riding into battle. Obviously, reinforce those, turn into a larger unit of 10, perhaps to give a little bit more staying power on the tabletop. They're going to be coming as part of a new army set, which is the way that Games Workshop tend to do all of their new big releases and stuff like this. So you'll be able to get all of the new miniatures in one set called the Darkoath Army Set. And this will come with a physical version of their sort of Slave to Darkness supplement with all the additional rules for playing with them. But you'll also be able to get that as a free PDF, as that's the case with all stuff with Age of Sigmar. A lot of the core rules for armies are free, apart from some of the sort of intricacies. You'll be able to get that later on down the line with updated war scrolls for them too. And just to get a little bit of a closer look at some of the models, I also dropped in their sort of the blog post from over on Warhammer Community, because it gives you a look at some of the other options for the different riders and stuff like that, as you can see here, looking very nice indeed. As someone who is always excited by the idea of doing a Marauder army in Warhammer, it's really nice to see those popping up.
Where?
The only thing we need now is a Wulfric the Wanderer to reappear, which would be awesome.
We need to see the alternative head you talked about for completeness.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, unfortunately, it's gone now.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'm a completist. I don't know if we can move on from this segment without seeing it.
Oh, well, that's a shame, isn't it? If only there was some way you could force me to go back. Too far away. I've already opened that link and now my cookies know I was on that website. That's not happening again. I don't want to think they want to double down on it.
Just as a little bit of a bonus, though, as well, for those fans, those people who like the Darkoath and stuff like that, or have maybe watched the Warhammer TV episode with Gunnar Brand and his tribe in it, they are doing a separate narrative set for them as well, which was revealed over the weekend. So you'll be able to dive into that and pick up the characters for Brand, Tanari, Direbrand, Nadja, and Singri as well.
Are you still watching Warhammer TV?
Yeah. When there's anything on it.
Not in the past 6 months.
Yeah, it's mainly there for journalistic. Maybe I could write it off as tax.
Have they cracked down on the old account sharing yet?
No, and don't mention it.
The Netflix.
Yeah. So, but yes, there are lots of new options coming out there for Chaos and the Slaves of Darkness. If you're a bit of a Marauder fan, you have some fun things to check out.
Fancy smancy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Enough of that. I think it's time to take a swish.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
Okay, then. We have a couple of Kickstarters to take a look at to round out this week's show.
Yeah.
And we're going to be starting off with a Wizard. It's just like Discworld all over again.
Yes, it's back and it's better than ever. Yes, so this is from Metal King Studio. This is by the wonderful Sean Sutter, who created the world of RelicBlade. This is a new game with a new set of mechanics set within the world of RelicBlade called Cursebreaker. This is a game for 1 to 4 players, which plays out on a 2x2 play area, which is similar to a lot of stuff that's Sean's done in the past for RelicBlade. Lots of very small tabletops
Hey!
playing intricate skirmish games, which is always nice. This is one of magicians and wizards and spellcasters battling each other throughout a strange and mysterious part of the RelicBlade world.
That's how I imagine Harry Potter should have looked.
This is what happens when he didn't come out of the closet. He stayed in there and dreamt up Cursebreakers. So yes, this game will come with 2 new factions called the Severed Hand and the Guild Champions. They are fully compatible with RelicBlade, although when you dive into Cursebreaker, they will obviously have their own themed rules and things for you to dive into when you play the game. The whole idea of the game is that it's kind of wizards battling for control of this kind of strange portion of the RelicBlade world, looking for ancient treasures and fighting to become master spellcasters and everything else in between. Players will dive into an entirely new system built around magic for the game as well, so it's not like RelicBlade in that regard, which I think is quite nice. It's also done in sort of a way where magic is very much something that your characters can easily do. They know they are proficient in the ability to cast spells. If you get my drift.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than you sort of rolling to see whether or not a spell will actually go off, it will always happen, and the desired effect will, go through the motions as you're sitting down on the tabletop. But every turn you'll develop a new random set of spells for you to play around with. So it's almost like solving a puzzle rather than it actually just being my guy knows fireball all the time kind of thing, which I think is quite nice. And sort of again plays into this idea of like weird, wacky magic happening across the tabletop, which is really cool. In addition to it being great, obviously, for kind of like your one-off games, which is always the case, this is also going to come with a full campaign built into it as well. So as you're delving deeper into Cursebreaker, you'll be able to sort of enhance your characters and take them on a journey through a story, which I think is quite good. There's also a full baked-in solo campaign. So if you don't have any other friends to play the game with, you can still have some fun with Cursebreaker, which is great.
I have plenty of friends online.
Yeah, but only online when they're playing Halo.
You can talk to them in Halo about what they're playing on the tabletop.
It's great because if I play with them in Halo, they don't touch anything I own.
That's perfect. Yeah. So yeah, this is looking really good. It's obviously laden with amazing artwork from Sean, alongside all the sculpting of the models and everything else in between. It just looks like a really fun idea. It's already funded, as you might have imagined, from any of the work by Metal King. And it is just going to grow and grow and develop as it goes through. I know they've already started to unlock additional characters and stuff like that, and accessories and upgrades for the game at the same time.
One ugly child.
There's some brutish arms on that thing.
But if you are somebody who loves the world of RelicBlade and you want a slightly different take on that, with a stronger focus on magic and a slightly new tweaked set of mechanics for the game, then definitely go and check out Cursebreaker and have some fun with it. Even if you don't want to play the game, the models themselves are gorgeous.
What do they make them out of?
Metal.
Metal.
Sweet metal like God intended.
Hence the name Metal King Studio.
It might just be because he's king scrap merchant. He's like a gypsy king boxer. Don't let the look of him there fool you. He will take your jaw off. And I'd be fascinated to see how the magic system works. In Cursebreakers, because that seems like the most intriguing thing to me. Obviously, miniatures are lovely. Sean does really fantastic illustrations, and the sculptures of the artwork are always stunning.
Pretty much.
Well, we've seen them just fiddling around with how the teeth should be in the video.
But the idea of almost like the winds of magic, to take a Warhammerism, being in constant flux, so what you have available every turn changes, and maybe what worked last turn isn't going to work this turn because your opponent's got something else that will counter it. Is an interesting concept, and I think if you're going to do magic like that, then just have it be the sole focus, because otherwise you'll just start ruffle stomping anything that isn't magic based. It's
one of the things they said. They said throughout the campaign, it's not a game of running up and beating someone to death with a stick or a dagger or whatever. It's very much around the magic and the use of spells. And because you can always be guaranteed that it will have the desired effect, it's not like a hedging your bets.
What's going on?
It's like making the most out
of
the spells.
Is that a spell they've cast to block that window? Why is that window blue?
It's been filled with magical blue foam.
Yeah. It's XBS.
Did they just forget to paint that bit?
Well, the rest of it's just wood, so none of it's painted yet. Spellcasting.
Give him a break, Lloyd,
XPS.
for pity's sake. Oh, God.
Go on the Kickstarter without fully painting everything.
He's painted all the miniatures.
Don't they know this isn't for developing stuff? This is just a pre-order platform. What's he doing?
He dressed up as a wizard and
He
everything.
did dress up as a wizard. If I go up to the top of the page, he's still talking dressed up as a wizard, I think.
I'd love that to be the cover, but I don't think it will. But I'd love it.
Just
Yeah.
him dressed as a wizard.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If you will it, Lloyd, I'm sure it can happen.
Mm.
But yeah, it's a gorgeous looking campaign filled with new characters and all sorts of different things for you to dive into. As I said, I like that it's kind of still slightly compatible with RelicBlade at the same time, which is really good to see. So if you're still playing that game, there's a reason for you to come pick this up. But obviously, if you already have RelicBlade stuff and you just buy the Cursebreaker set, well, you've got some extra warbands and you can play Cursebreakers at the same time, which just seems like a no-brainer to me if you're already a fan. So,
Has he added... He went going for the most expensive ones. No. There's not a design your own for once.
no,
No,
not
no
in
way.
this one, I don't think.
In
yeah.
previous,
Yeah.
they've had a pledge level where people could design their
Make your own
character
characters. Yeah.
to add in. I suppose this needs to be a little more focused since it is magic users, because you just go, I'm king of the world, I'm the bestest magic user that's ever existed, like this guy here,
There he is. I'm king of the world.
king of the world, and I will absolutely flatten everybody. I've got one power: I can turn water into wine because the human body's about 80% water. Unlucky. All your wizards are dead.
That's it. I'm going to turn you into Coca-Cola with a soda stream.
That's how Jesus took over the world.
That is 100% how he did that. That's
that
quite
famous
nice.
wizard, famous space wizard Jesus.
Yes,
Yes.
that's him. We've all seen what they know, right? Yes, cracking
Very cool
stuff there,
Very cool stuff
and,
indeed.
and still some unlocks to go, which
Yeah.
I imagine they will blitz through in the upcoming 18 days left. So just
18
over
days left on the campaign
2
when
weeks.
you're watching this.
Yeah, things like the Tree Man Wizard will obviously be in there, called Wise Gwyn.
They got a guy that looks like Justin further down. You were just seeing him there. See? Yeah, just there.
Yeah, so it does.
How do you feel about that, John? How do you feel about it when you buy a miniature and realize it looks like Justin?
That's why I don't play fantasy games.
You're sitting there trying to paint your best friend, go, oh,
too
I don't
much
see
of a
this
risk.
bug enough, for goodness sakes.
It's why I prefer options with helmets on. So I just don't have to look at the face.
Always too much of a risk. Right. We have some ladies coming up.
We
next.
do, yeah. So from the worlds of fantasy to the worlds of what if, but also history at the same time, we have a Kickstarter that has just 2 days left in the campaign from when you're seeing this one. This one's 28 mil ladies that lunch and hate Nazis. So this is
You want these ladies, you got to get in there and grab them quick.
Yes, you very much do. So this is a collection of miniatures that have been designed by Tech Scene for you to represent the Women's Home Defense Force on the tabletop in your games of bolt action or anything else in between. You could use them for playing out the likes of Operation Sea Lion, or maybe using them for a very British Civil War, which tends to be the case with a lot of the miniatures that you see like this. They are broken down into a range of fairly extensive sets, I will say, that have been funded for this one. It's definitely sort of blown its goal, which I think is quite nice. So you can dive in and start playing around with squads of riflewomen led by Marjorie Cuthbertson, who I think is probably a proper battle axe.
It's awesome.
Alongside a whole host of additional ladies that lunch with guns, armed with Lewis guns, Tommy guns, Sten guns. There's an archery team. There are ladies with brooms and other improvised weapons.
There's a rolling pin.
There is a rolling pin, which is the
I like
easiest
that
way
one.
to beat up a German.
I bought my missus a rolling pin for Christmas, so I think there's an appointment.
Oh, yeah. The archery team also comes with explosive options. So if you want to fire rockets at your enemies, you've got some options there, which I think is glorious.
Shooting.
There you go.
explosives.
Explosive arrows for taking out the Hun.
Rambo 3 style.
Yeah. That's clearly what they watched for the inspiration. Ye olde Rambo.
You've got wrong, mate.
Yeah. There are also ladies with shotguns and all sorts of other bits and pieces in there as well, including a pony patrol. So if you want to ride around and survey the local area and make sure the Germans haven't landed on the beaches, you've got some options there too, which I think is fantastic. What was also quite neat is that Tech Scene said that one of the miniatures is actually based on their grandma, which
The one
is
with the rolling pin, probably.
which is amazing. Apparently, she was quite the force to be reckoned with back during the old war.
So she was actually kicking ass. Wow.
I think he said that she mostly stayed at home, sort of helping the war effort in the kitchen, perhaps. But I think she probably beat up a few people with a rolling pin, maybe more often than not. They've also talked about additional things that maybe people want in the collection. And I already know that Techscene have also said they're going to be doing ladies with pikes. So if you want to run around with melee weapons or stabbing people, they're going to be doing that as well. I think this looks absolutely amazing, and it's perfect for all those kind of like what ifs, as I was saying earlier.
It's perfect for the women's land army gone mad.
Exactly.
Yeah. Put down those pitchforks, ladies. We're going hunting.
In addition to that as well, these would be really nice when mixed with the stuff from Bad Squiddo, who has already been doing really nice stuff in this sort of area, doing gun crews.
I could see this being things. These are like the wives from Dad's army. So when they're all mucking about doing bugger all, the wives are actually kicking ass.
Actually doing stuff. Yeah. Actually on the beaches of Waltham.
See? Rolling pin madness.
Yes.
Love it.
I also want to say something, but I probably shouldn't say it, but I want to say it.
Oh, go ahead. You can always bleep this out.
These are definitely the kind of World War II miniatures that Midwinter Minis would paint. These are his sensibility.
They're not the bad guy.
They're not the bad guys. No
skulls here.
No.
But yes. Lots of awesome stuff there, as you can see from Techscene. A much smaller campaign, but it's definitely one to go and check out if you're excited to maybe do something a little bit different in the World War II sphere or beyond.
I mean, the interwar period, like you're saying, is great for these for very British Civil War, but you can go back. There was a TV series about the Land Girls. If people are unaware of them, you can go and have a look for that anyway. But in the same way that the Home Guard were supposed to defend and repel borders if needed be, it was the same for the Land Girls. There were like Pathé News films showing to them about how to defend themselves, things they could do, like string up wires if Nazis are driving through town, get their throat cut. Unlucky, teach them.
Your piano can be turned into several deadly weapons.
Show them keeping pistols in perambulators. Just going down the street and then just taking it out and shooting the German in the back of the head after the patrol's gone past.
Yeah, as if there's only ever going to be one of them.
Yeah.
How to make shivs from bra wires. Get in there.
All that, but and as funny as Dad's army was to us at the time, it was deadly serious. And the same thing with the Land Army. The reason that there are bows and arrows in there is there's a lot of archery clubs, and where they may not have guns. Silent but deadly.
An arrow will still take you down.
An arrow will still kill people.
Remember, Dad's army was only a satire of reality.
Yep. Yeah. So I love those. There's a really nice
honor brigade of their time.
Yeah, cracking stuff. But you got to be quick, or you'll have to hang on to later on this year when they actually go on the website. So if you want to go on to upfront first,
you don't think they'll have a late pledge?
I have no idea.
They might do.
Who knows? Who knows how these things work?
If you're going to pledge anyway, just pledge now.
Pledge now.
Simple, easy.
Consume.
I'm thinking about the sad sacks that didn't watch this straight away. You know who you are.
So well,
missed out.
They're due for May release.
No.
The models are due for May release. So if you just missed it, then you can bookmark it, set yourself an invite for a calendar type thing, put it on your calendar. Just circle May. Big red Land Girls. Right. That wraps us up for today. We will be back on Sunday morning, where we're going to be swapping one Johnston for another. Ooh. Brother swaps. Dun, dun, dun. And we'll be waffling on about our hobby and yours in the XLBS for our Cult of Games members. If you're not already a cultist, join us. Join us.
You sure?
Join us.
You sure it'll not just be Warren's hobby?
No, all of our hobby. And
you think you'll fit it in? Because Warren likes to take over the show.
We all talk first, and then whatever time we have left, we give to Warren.
Oh, that's how it works.
This is how we do this, and I'm sure I've been assured of this 100%. This is how we'll go. Right, you can join us for a 30-day trial over at OnTableTop.com if you're not already a cultist.
For free.
There, have a nosy around, poke it. See what else is in there. There's some amazing stuff, mostly by me. It's great. John does things too.
John's had an amazing series about Titanic and
Yes.
painting up the sister ships and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's available only for cultists at this particular moment. So
The finale of that
Yeah,
series
the
is
finale.
currently up. Yep.
Sweet to the
gorgeous
beat.
series, yeah.
Right, and don't forget to comment below here on the YouTubes if you want to win that big bundle of Skelly Bobs.
Mm.
Until next week, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.